What are vibes? Welcome to Philosopher's Corner. I'm John. What are vibes? Vibes is short for vibrations. Just like the Beach Boys sang about in Good Vibrations, and Tesla talked about when he said that the universe is nothing more than frequency and vibration. So vibes. Here in Southern California, we use that term all the time. People pretty much get sick of it. And it means vibrations. So I covered in my video about emotions that emotions are vibes. Vibrations are the base fabric of material reality. Oscillating energy has waves and amplitudes, and even when we go back to a bunch of different sacred texts, including the Bible, where in Bible and Genesis, when it says everything got started with the word. Well, the word is another way of saying that a vibration was released. Words are audible vibrations. All of this energy coming out of my mouth to you is a vibration. All of the light coming off of my body so that you can see me is a vibration. All of my spiritual energies that are emanating from my chakral systems that are creating my reality and interacting with the reality that we live in are vibes, also known as vibrations, right? They oscillate, and then they coalesce, and then they create things. So vibes come from the base energy of the reality. And depending on how quickly they go up and down and how far apart they are, how big the wave is, and how frequent it is, that changes what its effect is and how it presents in our reality. And when all those different wave patterns interact with all the other different wave patterns that are presenting in their ways, that are vibrating in different ways, basically we get reality. Obviously, that's a broad stroke view of the whole thing. And in here in Southern California, with the local vernacular being vibes, it's always about vibes, what we find out is that the vibes interact with each other all the time. So when somebody says, oh, that person's got a good vibe, or that person's got a bad vibe, the vibe contains all the information. The vibe is putting out the intention, it's putting out how you're feeling about things, it's putting out basically your whole level. Because your vibe is connected to your soul energy. It goes deep into the soul energy. And it gets translated based on how you're constituted, what your value system is, what your morals are, what your ethics are, and what your intention is. And then depending on how you focus or concentrate, vibes. And people can read them, and they communicate with things all the time. The animals, the vibe is in ultimately the key frequency. Talked about resonance in a previous video, and your resonance is your vibe. Everything has a natural resonance. Everything has a natural frequency. And that resonance is the vibe of that thing. And everything has vibe for it, right? From a molecule all to any kind of complex organism to a planet. At some point, you can find a perspective on it that allows you to see it in its totality, in its completion. And when you see that, you find out that it has a natural frequency, and that natural frequency is it's the core vibratory level of all the vibrations that are keeping that thing in the material reality. And as I covered in the resonance video, knowing that it's a scientific key. It's not just a philosophical key. It's not just a spiritual key or a metaphysical key. It's a real scientific key to know the natural frequency of something, the resonance frequency of something. And it all comes from vibes. And everything has it. And everything that's in the material reality is emanating a vibration. And how the vibes interact, how the waves propagate, how they create things, how they mesh, how they catalyze the reality, how the intention in them affects that, how the reception in that affects it, how the perception in that affects it, is really what makes the whole reality that we live in. The whole thing is a vibratory laboratory. The whole of creation is essentially a vibratory laboratory. And learning the energies and frequencies, being able to see them, being able to focus and concentrate them with intent and all the other steps that go into it, and to be able to exist with all the other vibratory beings in this reality, is really the main learning point or way to perceive it from a physical standpoint. Now, when you look into it, when you look into the physics of it and all the vibratory physics check out, as you dig deeper, then you'll start to see that there's areas where the consciousness starts to come in from higher dimensions. And whether, physicists will start to refer to that as quantum mechanics or the Higgs boson molecule or consciousness molecule or whatever, or they'll come to the wavicle where something's a wave and a particle unless it's observed, and then it collapses into a particle, right? Well, that's when they start to get to the transcendental realm. You start to get out of this light-based matrix in the vibratory reality, in the reality of matter. The old religions might call it Maya or whatever. You might call it the Matrix. Although I think the Matrix is a little more industrially produced. But also, when you start to penetrate the transcendental layers of base physical material realms, it also starts to give a lot of the indicators of being in a simulation or being in a matrix as well. So that can be confusing. But really, you're just rising above the vibratory level to get a view at it. And then when you come back into the world of solid material reality, fresh with the perspective of the vibratory reality, things make a lot more sense. And in that instance, a really great place to look for more information on it is cymatics. Cymatics is a science of essentially vibrating plates with sand on them that put an audio signal through it, a frequency, put sand on it, and then you can start to see the shapes it makes, because the sand will go into the waveforms, follow the waveforms, and you'd be like, whoa. A lot of them look like, mandalas or whatever. And also they're actually three-dimensional shapes they're creating, but the cymatics are typically on a two-dimensional plane, so you'll just see them flat. But it's a great area of study. And when you study Tesla's findings, the energy and frequency level are the profound level for him of the material reality that have all the keys to the derivative technological breakthroughs in our regular dimension, physical matter, operating reality, that he was getting into. He was energies and frequencies in 369, and the 369 there is a transcendental math pattern in there that you should probably look into, but you gotta look into the energy and the frequency, aka vibes, first. So even our person is just a vibe being. Everything about this vibe, even if you just start with your heart rate, right? Your heart rate, ding, 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 ding. It's just a vibration. It's a vibration, and it's a rhythm, and it's pumping the blood through our system, and it sets a vibration and a rhythm for the whole system. And then all of the other vibes and systems react to the heart rate. They're all based on that frequency, on that vibe. And then everything else starts vibing. Not to mention the fact that literally every single cell in our bodies has a half-life, which sets that on a vibration, an oscillation, growth and decay frequency. And I mean, it's all vibes. And then, so our body is this collection of vibes, and in the process of getting to know ourselves, we can observe our vibratory nature. We can consciously put values into it, intentions into it, kind of set it on autopilot, and engage in a path of self-mastery where we can gain control of our system, knowing, because we did the personal introspection, that we are in fact a vibratory being, and we can set the switches on ourselves, and then in turn have the confidence that the reality itself is also a vibratory reality, and that we're interacting with it, that our vibration is the frequency that is being sent off into the overall vibratory reality, and that vibratory reality is reacting with us. Be that other human beings, animals, plants, trees, the metaphysical aspect of the reality itself, doesn't matter. The whole shebang, the whole thing, everything's just vibes. That's why when they do the psychedelics and they get to the higher levels of the astral and vibratory realms, the common discovery is that it's all one. It's all God's love, is usually what people say. But they say it's all one field. And it is, because then at that point, we're all seeing the vibratory field. And when the entire reality is a vibratory field, then we can see that the main thing that happens, the reason we can have these lives the way we do, is because what happens is in this vast ocean of a vibratory field, there are points of light. Excuse me. There are points of light that are consciousness, of which our soul is one, in this ocean of vibratory field. And in those, once it's in there, then like some of the vibes kind of wrap around it and solidify it, and then that's a person, or that's a tree, or that's a thing. It doesn't matter. It's that piece of the consciousness energy that gets put in, and then all the vibes that correspond to that all the vibes that correspond to what's embedded in that consciousness piece of energy sort of wrap around it and call in the other vibes, to include things like soul destiny and situational, like basically your whole life gets wrapped up in it, or the life of whatever that object is encoded in that piece of consciousness in the vibratory field, and the vibratory field wraps around it. The vibratory field also including the formation of planets, the formation of solar systems, galaxies, everything. Because the vibratory field has no like size or scale. It's beyond any of that. It's just infinite. So it's an infinite canvas of vibration. And the pieces of light that go into there, which are the consciousness for all the different stuff, have the vibratory pieces wrap around it and manifest in that vibratory field. And then we have life. And so when people do psychedelics, they're seeing that infinite vibratory field and going, oh, it's all one. Because at that level, all the vibration, it's all the same. It's the consciousness that gives it the uniqueness. It's the consciousness that gives it the identifiers that we identify with the material reality as we're experiencing it. And so in a way, being in this realm it's a descent into this realm from these higher vibratory levels. But when we're in here, if we can remember that that's what the basis of this experience that we're having is the vibratory field that we've manifested into a material reality, and we can know that consciously, and then we can tune into that and also have intention with that as we emanate and it emanates back, we can find a way to start to manifest the things that are in us that we'd like to manifest in reality. And more importantly, we can find a way to find harmony with it. And in the harmony comes peace, and in the harmony comes power, and in the harmony comes love, and in the harmony comes bliss. And in that way, we can reach heavenly realms and kingdoms of God, and we can really enjoy life as it was originally intended and designed to be for all living beings in existence in the vibratory field. So vibes, they're important. Well, I hope you found this helpful. Thanks for spending some time here at Philosopher's Corner. I hope you have some good vibes, and as always, have fun.